Hey, Mike. So, let me try to remember. Vigor called my attention to this. You're spot on. I mean, that's exactly the way it is managed. It's called the context window, and it is made of, the system prompt goes first, and then your first prompt typically is next. And then as the AI responds to that, it adds its responses to the context, which can be tool calls and all kind of other things. We'll talk about that in a second. But generally speaking, yeah, you're right. And so as you're progressing through a chat, literally everything is being submitted every time you hit enter. And every time the model stops to call a tool, and then we have to respond with the tool call's answer, right? That grows the context more. Every single event along the way is growing the context. So let's talk about that a little bit, because there's ways to manage this. And for one, input caching is a thing now. So as long as your context isn't changing, all of your tokens that have been generated up to the point that you press enter are cacheable, right? They're immutable. They don't change. There's nothing about the context commonly that changes, so it becomes cacheable. Where this starts to hit a little harder is in tools that carefully manage the context. So in other words, say that you're working on an agentic framework, or sorry, you're working with some agentic framework such as Gadget code, any coding agent. What's happening is, throughout that entire session, the context is growing and growing and growing and growing. And a lot of tools will perform what's called a compaction, right? So they'll go through that big ass history. They'll dump file reads that have been repeated, things like that. They can also do summarizations and things. But that then breaks the cacheability of the context window. So you kind of want to watch how often you're doing that. Because that'll start to rack up in cost as well, right? So like, for example, if you're using an agent that mutates the context every single time it loops, you're not taking advantage of caching at all, right? And that can add up actually faster than just letting the context grow. It's a balance, right? So it requires some fine tuning and things like that. Generally speaking, what I try to tell people is one task per chat, one topic per chat, right? And just look right down here, and one job per chat. So you're spending more than you need to spend, and you're confusing the shit out of the model by constantly hopping around like a rabid wombat within one chat, right? Don't do that. That's bad. What you want to do is create a clean new chat, stuff your context with whatever your setup is, and then execute. Now, what I mean by that is you start up a new context. You ask the model maybe a couple of leading questions to get it to go fetch some information into the context. And then you ask it to reason about the context and produce some kind of a result, right? Once you get that result, you might need to iterate on it. I'm just saying, once you arrive at your destination, close that chat. Even if you're doing a continuation on that, it can be more efficient to start a new chat. The reason I say all that is because, it's all about the tools that you give to your agent for being able to get information within a session, right? So, for example, what I mean by that is, let's say, I got to sign in here. Hold on one second. This is my dev environment, so I don't have anything secure here. There we go. All right, so the tools that are available to your agent for fetching information are probably the number one thing that are going to help you control cost, right? And so that's why within Gadget Agent, I've been so meticulous and careful on the construction of the toolbox that's available to the agent. You got a couple things going on within a toolbox, right? So for one is, if you have too many tools, it becomes hard for the agent to select the correct one for use, right? Especially if you have a lot of similar tools. And then that's where you start finding that you'll have to get into, more manual guidance. No, don't use that tool. Use this tool, but call it with these parameters. Do better, right? So the first step is carefully selecting and designing your tools so that they're unique enough, and that each tool is then flexible enough to be able to, do the largest amount of work for the agent within a tool, right? So you make tools, and then tools take parameters, and because they're just a function. And so fewer tools, more parameters can be a lot better than sprawling list of tools, right? Because the tool definitions also go into your system prompt in a way and define what tools are available for the model to call. And the more out of control that gets, the more you're just bloating context, and in this case with stuff you'll never even use. So we try to be really, really good and really careful about Gadget's toolset. So let me just start this one off with, hello Gadget. We are recording a video demo. Please describe the tools in your toolbox, what they are used for, and how you use them to manage information in the context. So we're just going to let Gadget do that. And if you look down on the bottom on the left, you'll see my GPU spin up. I call that mount inference. Once it gets going, you'll see why. And I mean, honestly, what I'm showing you right now is the ultimate cheat code in just not giving a shit about the size of your context window or what it costs, because I don't have token tax, right? Like when I'm running in my development environment against my local hardware, I just don't have token tax. So there's that, right? Like in a way, the only concern I have on my context is the maximum size and not exceeding it. So what Gadget's going to do here is just give you a rundown of the tools that are available for it to use, right? So we'll just let it print, and then we'll talk about the tools that are available. So if you notice, all of these tools are all about getting information that might be relevant within the context of a chat or working on a job or whatever it is that Gadget might be doing at the moment. Let's just go ahead and read this through. So basically what Gadget is saying here is, to help with your video demo, I can describe my capabilities by grouping my tools into functional categories. This explains not just what they are, but how I use them to maintain context and provide high quality assistance. Here is an overview of my toolbox. So 1, knowledge and research tools. These tools allow me to gather information from internal and external sources. It has the knowledge base, it has Search Brave and Search Google, and it prefers to search Brave because Google is deprecated. It'll be gone by the end of the year. We won't be able to use programmatic Google search. They want you to only use their AI, and that's garbage. And then you have Fetch URL, which I can use to read specific web pages or PDFs directly so that it can analyze their content for you. Context and memory management, right? So it has the pin board, which is where it can pin preferences and topics and instructions and things like that, but it's saying this is my persistent memory. If you tell me a preference, like always keep responses concise or provide a specific project requirement, I pin it. This ensures that even as our conversation grows long, those key details remain at the forefront of my logic. And then it also has access to chat history and search history. So these allow me to look back at past conversations or previous search results to ensure continuity and avoid asking you for information you've already provided in earlier sessions. Now that is probably one of the most badass things I've built into Gadget. Not a lot of tools even have the ability to do this, but basically, if it needs something out of some other context where you were working, it has semantic search over everything you two have ever said to each other. And so when it's looking for information, it can actually see like, hey, have we talked about this before? And if so, how'd that go? And it'll go and it'll look it up, and you won't have to repeat yourself, and it won't have to repeat work that it did, etc. It can even look up the results of tool calls and searches in the past. So in a way, it has a search cache, right? Because searches cost you half a penny every time they execute. So if we can save you that half a penny, we do. Anyway, up next is content and organization tools. Yeah. So these tools help manage your personal data and assets. You have user document, which it uses to manage your private knowledge base, creating, editing, or searching through documents you want to keep organized, and that is over here. So I have this like giant now collection of documents, which again I try to describe as these are not Word documents. You know, they can be, they easily can be. I mean, you can export any of them to a PDF or whatever you need, but this is your knowledge base, right? This is all that stuff that is your context that's just not in the current chat. And if you need it in the current chat, Gadget can go do a search in documents, read a document, get the context that it needs, and continue working with you. Gadget can also edit documents, create documents, etc. So there's that, right? You have that. User document. Next up is bookmarks, right? This allows me to save and organize web links, notes, and snippets for easy retrieval later. Now, what that ends up looking like is this. Let's just go to, I don't know. Sure. So what you're seeing here, and actually it can help if I just open the web page and show you a little more of what Gadget does. When I'm on a web page, right, you see that thing that popped up there, this thing? This is an annotation that I've had Gadget create to go with this web page. Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis, what I don't care, I'm supposed to pronounce the name. Stepping aside from operational role to become chairman. Jeff Dean, blah, 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 right? So this is what I call a rich bookmark in Gadget, right? So if I hit Control-Shift-K, in the bottom right of the page, watch, you see that blinking ball? That's Gadget ball, or the Gadget icon, and I can open that, right? When I do, I get the bookmark. It's called a rich bookmark, and it's a rich bookmark for a reason. So that annotation has been created and is here, and Gadget did that for me, right? But we also have clips. So what I can do, let's say that there's something on here, right? These top 3 points, right? Say that that's really what I care about the most. Control-Shift-K, leave it selected, and just hit clip. Now, boom, I've got those 3 data points on that bookmark. And so I can ask Gadget, hey, what was that page? Let's actually do it. Let's just open up your thing, new chat. Hey, Gadget. There was a story recently about a Google executive stepping aside. I know I bookmarked it. Whoops. Please take me to that page in a new tab. And I'm using the browser sidebar extension version of Google. So as you saw, I literally opened up a little sidecar here in the browser, and I'm able to just ask it to, go do things on my behalf. So you see Mount Inference spinning up down there. That was likely the search of the bookmarks. A little more thinking as it goes through, does the thing. And the next thing, there we go. So it just took me directly to that bookmark, right? Like I didn't have to go do that. It was able to do that. All right. And here, tell me what you know about that bookmark, then summarize the page. We're recording a demo. Explain how you got each piece of information you used. Okay, so Mount Inference will spin back up, and it'll go through and do the thing, right? So it may call some additional tools. It may go ahead and reread the whole page. It should. And then from that, it'll generate a report talking about what I asked for, and then it'll tell us how it did that. And what's important here, right, is... do you see how utterly efficient the context is? It's literally printed right here, right? So you can see that I'm at about 65,000 tokens input total in this session. It'll jump a little bit. There you go, 85,000 tokens, right? So here's the information you requested regarding that bookmark. So bookmark details, I'll let you use pause to read that. Page summary, I'll also let you use pause to read that. But then down at the very bottom, how I got this information, I generated this summary by reading the full content of the page after navigating to it in your browser, right? So, again, there's no waste here. And if that was one task, if that was all I wanted to do, I'm done with that session, right? So like if you look at my sessions, they're usually 1, 2 prompts, maybe 3 prompts sometimes, right? Like here's where I was going off looking for, a video and news article on a robot from Toyota that's out here kicking ass, basically playing basketball. And so it did some thinking, it searched, and then it found all my information. And that was done in about 55,000 tokens and would have cost me, let's call that 8 cents, right? So by just watching how you're managing your context, right? You stay super nimble, you stay super cheap, you get your answers faster, and it doesn't hallucinate as much, right? Like, yeah, I get it. Models out here today have million token context windows, and that is vast. It can hold a ridiculous amount of information, but we have to ask ourselves why. Why would you do that? Well, some reasons are I'm really lazy and I don't like writing specifications, prompts. I don't like being specific. I'm super vague. I like to let the model make decisions for me. I'm basically mentally weak and I don't have good ideas. So I lean on the model a lot and I pay for that as a result. You load the entire project into memory. You ask it one stupid question and then you, I don't know, clap like a seal. Or, get this, you can break big jobs down into small jobs. A common practice within engineering, and I am an engineer. I'm only talking about engineering. I don't churn the butter, I don't make the cheese, and I don't farm the goats. So I don't have anything relevant to those topics. I'm going to talk about engineering, where what we do is consider big ass problem and we break it down into its solvable chunks, and I will work with AI to do that. And then I create a series of plans that I go through and execute, 1 session per, and the end result is big ass app, right? Like, I did not start on some blank screen and describe all of Gadget in one shot and get some, result that is this. It literally started as a blank home page, and I've just been asking, going through in Gadget code, asking Gadget to add one feature at a time, over time, in small little sessions, using free models, local models, cheap models. I avoid Anthropic, OpenAI, and all that. And I am where I am now as a result. Like, I have an image generator in this thing. I can open these up. These are full projects. Gadget works on them with me. I don't type in titles and descriptions and tags and prompts and all that. I describe what I want. I let Gadget talk to the model. It can see, oh, we're talking to OpenAI GPT-5 image. Cool. I'll write my prompt in a way that is best for that model, and I don't have to think about that stuff, right? And then I get image as a result. So the cost of this session here was 19 cents because OpenAI's model is very expensive to take out for a drive. I do it sparingly. I only do it when I'm really looking for that LinkedIn result in order to go post on LinkedIn, because that's what everybody does over there. Twitter is a whole different story. I don't even use this tool. I use Z-Image Turbo running in Comfy UI. So I don't know. I'm kind of rambling. I'm a little bit all over the place, but you can see here that the chat portion of what we just did was am I looking at, was a penny, call that 1.5 pennies. When I want to generate an image or something, again, bigger job, right? That will maybe cost me 19 cents. So I also have Publisher, which is where I can publish things too. I have reports, which I can create, like, let's do the Fauci roundup, right? Where I can have Gadget create full news reports for me. I have shown, this was done live. I showed Gadget actually generating this. And again, each of these are done in one simple session where I come in with one objective, one goal, one thing to do. I have Gadget do that thing, and then I put Gadget away. I don't have one big chat going with Chat Robot, right? Like, that's the least efficient way to do anything with AI. All you're doing is, especially if you're hopping around from topic to topic to topic, let's talk about this, then let's talk about this, then let's talk about this, then let's talk about this. Like, as you're saying, Mike, The robot is having to, think about every word in the entire chat every time. And I'm just scrolling down so people can pause, read the remainder of Mike's post. Is having to go through and think about all that every single time. Now think about it. Like when it gets to your final little question that possibly has nothing to do with the 900,000 tokens before that, it still has to think about all 900,000 tokens. And that's why it's more expensive. That's why people end up discovering that, oh my God, this stuff costs too much. No, you're just literally not using it correctly, right? Like it's about the tools you use and how you use them. And so Gadget is a tool for people with work to do and things to talk about, right? Like it's not a fart button. It's not here to entertain you. It is literally here to help you answer questions, help you learn, construct an educational curriculum, work you through that and test you, help you, write documents, draft emails, use your browser to do literally anything. Check your calendar, tasks, lists, whatever. We have that built into Gadget as well. So what I'm saying, Mike, is that you're not wrong. What I'm saying is this is exactly the way that a large language model actually works. This is exactly why those models end up costing people more than they thought AI should, right? And this is an education thing. That's all it is. It's an education thing. It's that people don't know how the tool works. And so they're picking up their hammer, they're swinging it at everything, and they never, ever use a different hammer. So it just, it is what it is. People are going to have to learn over time. A lot of people are stubbornly stupid and want to stay that way, so they don't really care about this whole conversation. AI bad, whatever. And cool. It's just encouraging to see like at least one other person on Gab actually, sharing real and correct information. That's very encouraging, yeah, to say the least. I'm still not going to participate more. You're basically, Vigor is someone that I've been hanging out with for a good long time. So when Vigor mentioned, I figured I might as well at least have a look. And yeah, look, lo and behold, Mike over here, Mike Smith, 74. If 74 is your birth year, we're pretty much the same age. I'm 73. Well, I'm 53 years old. I was born in 73. I feel 73 some days, mostly on the days that I choose to hang out here, which are decreasing in number for which should be an obvious reason. Cheers, enjoy the scroll. See you around, not.